In the world of basketball, there's one name that stands above all others: Michael Jordan. He's often referred to as the greatest of all time, or simply the GOAT. To find out about how this Chicago native became the basketball legend he is today, we have to look at Jordan's life growing up. February 17, 1963 was a big day for Brooklyn, New York, because that's where Michael Jeffrey Jordan, aka MJ, was born. His parents, James and Dolores, would play a huge role in his life and his journey into the game of basketball. James worked at GE, and Dolores was a bank teller. What's more, MJ had 4 siblings and was especially close with Larry, who he would often play basketball with. But Larry was the real talent in the family, and he used to beat MJ regularly, and that made MJ work harder to beat him. And James built MJ his first basketball court in their backyard. But the bigger lesson for MJ was one Dolores taught him when he was cut from the varsity basketball team as a sophomore. She told him that if he really wanted it, he'd have to work harder than everyone else and never give up. And that is exactly what he tried to do during his time at college.
Playing for myself and not for the fans, and so far I have been playing well. I've been more consistent.
It's just been a remarkable comeback. There's Jordan.
No defense against that, even though Eddie Coe's an excellent leader.
Michael Jordan. Everything seems to be like
when MJ joined the North Carolina basketball team. As a freshman, MJ put his name on the map by averaging 13.5 points per game and shooting 53.4% from the field. What's more, this one time facing Georgetown University and their star player Patrick Ewing, the game was down to the wire with Georgetown leading by 1 point with less than 20 seconds left. And who would have the ball but MJ, a freshman? Well, he sank a jump shot with 15 seconds remaining, winning the game and the NCAA championship for North Carolina. From that moment on, MJ's confidence level soared, and he dominated college basketball. As a sophomore and junior, he averaged 20 and 19.6 points per game respectively, earning himself All-American First Team honors and winning the Naismith College Player of the Year and John R. Wooden Awards. And after his junior season, he knew it was time to take his talent to the next level, the NBA. But before that, he'd get some practice in at the 1984 Olympic Games.
Not fooled by a great move by Michael Jordan. He just goes up and just puts a hand up.
Sell some tickets.
34 of the 67 points by Jordan and Perkins, more than half. And there they go.
How did Michael Jordan end up at the Olympics? Well, when Michael Jordan left college, everyone knew he was going to be a top draft pick. But where would he land? The Houston Rockets had the first pick, but they were going to go for Hakeem Olajuwon, since big men were all the rage in the 80s. But the Portland Trail Blazers already had a great guard in Clyde Drexler, so it was up to the struggling Chicago Bulls to take their chance with the 3rd pick, and boy did they make the right call. This partnership would change the course of the Bulls franchise and Jordan's career forever. But coincidentally, before the 84-85 season, Jordan earned a spot on the 1984 USA men's basketball team, coached by the legendary Bob Knight. The team played an NBA All-Star team in 8 games and won 8-0, and the Olympics went just as well, with Team USA winning a gold medal and Jordan leading all scorers with 17.1 points per game. Knight was so impressed with Jordan's play that he said, "The kid is just an absolute great kid. If we're gonna pick the 3 or 4 best athletes I've ever seen play basketball, he'd be one of them." What's more, Jordan quickly proved himself as the favorite to win the Rookie of the Year award with his incredible scoring and moves like his rock the cradle slam dunk. He also changed the way NBA players dealt with endorsements, signing a shoe deal with Nike and having the final say on all of his shoe designs. In fact, he eventually made the Jordan brand its own brand and a subsidiary of Nike Inc. But of course, it wasn't all beds and roses for MJ.
Knocked it away from Malone. Malone upset Jordan. Watch out!
A pretty good angle on him, and look at, he takes off and just keeps right on going. Magic moves to the side.
That's a beauty. That's a 10 to me.
Our first final.
In fact, Michael Jordan faced injury while setting a record. The 1985-86 NBA season in Chicago was filled with high hopes, but tragedy struck early on. All hell broke loose when Jordan broke his foot in just the 3rd game of the season, and many thought he'd be out for the entire year. But against all odds, Jordan returned on March 15, 1986 against the Milwaukee Bucks. And despite the Bulls front office wanting to keep him healthy, Jordan was determined to lead the team to the playoffs. He begged the coach to put him in, even for just 13 seconds. But the coach was afraid of losing his job. No one gave the Bulls a chance, but Jordan had other plans. He put on an unforgettable performance in Game 1, scoring a playoff record of 63 points. Despite losing the game and being swept out of the playoffs, Jordan had secured his spot as one of the game's greatest players. In fact, he went on to win the Defensive Player of the Year award the following season.
Once again named Finals MVP, his 4th MVP trophy in his many tries.
When Chicago Bulls were able to beat the Pistons only because of him. It was the late 80s and early 90s, and the rivalry between the Chicago Bulls and Detroit Pistons was intense. The Pistons had finally broken through and won a championship, but all anyone wanted to talk about was Michael Jordan. And of course, the Pistons had a plan to stop Jordan, famously dubbed the Jordan Rules, which included slamming him to the floor every time he scored for his slam dunk. Also, these rules took a toll on Jordan physically and stopped the Bulls dead in their tracks for 3 consecutive seasons. But by 1991, Jordan was ready to trust in his teammates a little more, and with the help of the triangle offense, the Bulls soared to a franchise record of 61 wins and a 4-0 sweep over the Pistons in the playoffs. But everything came crashing down for MJ when he heard the news on June 23, 1993.
Lost through fatigue, through age, through whatever, has only brought him somewhat back to the field. Jordan pulls up
like we've never seen before.
And connects.
He shook the world with a sudden retirement announcement in 1993 when Michael Jordan was on top of the world. In fact, he just won his 3rd consecutive championship with the Chicago Bulls and was a household name. But tragedy struck when his father, James Jordan, was murdered while on a golf outing. This devastating loss sent MJ into a tailspin, and on October 6th, he shocked the world by announcing his retirement from the NBA. It was a shocking retirement, a brief stint in baseball, but above all, it was a story of a son honoring his father's memory, only to make a comeback in the world of basketball.
To compete, to win, that's all I live for, really.
Was as good as anybody I'd ever seen. 5 years later, he was 10 times better, and 5 years later, he was 10 times better.
By becoming a part owner of the Washington Wizards, MJ retired from basketball in 1999, but decided to come out of retirement in 2000 to become part owner and president of basketball operations for the Washington Wizards. But that wasn't enough for MJ. He announced that he was coming out of retirement again in 2001 to help the struggling Wizards team. It was definitely weird seeing him in a Wizards uniform, but he proved he could still play the game. But sadly, despite MJ's best efforts, the team didn't make it to the playoffs during his time there, although he did have some great moments, like becoming the oldest player to score 50 points in a game. After retiring for the final time in 2003, he moved on to focus on his Jordan brand and other business ventures, eventually becoming the majority owner of the Charlotte Bobcats. His team may not have had much success, but his finances have definitely been thriving. He became the first former NBA player to reach billionaire status in 2016. All in all, Michael Jordan will always be the greatest player the game of basketball has ever seen. And who wouldn't want to be like Mike for a second? That's it for today. If you like this video, please let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next video.